Hi guys. Hi everyone. How are you today? Let me know if you hear me. Oh, Andrew is here. Okay, we have some problems with Instagram, but no worries. I have to accept you, Andrew, but something doesn't work. But this is usual for Instagram. Maybe one more time. And
Hello.
hi, Andrew. Yeah, we got this.
We got it. We got it. How are
Yeah,
you today?
yeah, pretty good.
Good.
Thanks. And you?
Yeah. I also pretty good. Been a little sleepy morning, but it's good now. All good now.
Awesome.
Yeah. Get all set up here. But yeah,
Thank
thank you for inviting me, and thank you for doing this whole series. I think it's been excellent. Even though I haven't been able to watch many of them, but they've been great guests and great content. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm also so excited because before every live stream, I am really stressed because I know that I really care about what I'm talking about. I really care and I want people understand me correctly.
Yeah.
But I think it's not the problem. The problem is when we will not speak about this, about mental health, and about OCD, because people are staying at home and stay silent. And this is something what I want to change. And I think we can do this with help
Yeah.
many amazing people.
Yeah. 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 It's funny, when it's just you and I talking on our uh, bi-weekly INAG call. Yeah, there's like no pressure. I mean, I guess a little pressure on my end, just making sure everything's working. But it's funny when you advertise something and you go live. It's like, oh wait, now there's some pressure or something. But it's fine. It's just a chat
Yeah,
amongst friends.
yeah, yeah. This is chat, and this is really fun for me because it's no pressure. We have no plan. We just speaking about special topic,
Hmm.
and just want to make people feel less alone, spread awareness, and show people that we can speak about our problems
Yeah.
without any
Yeah.
shame or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you said for me and you, our topic for the day around advocacy. I have a couple of background things there. One time I was telling someone, like, yeah, I'm an OCD advocate. They're like, well, surely you don't advocate for OCD. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, I guess, I'm an advocate
Yeah,
for awareness and support and research. I'm not advocating for people to have the disease, disorder.
yeah,
And
yeah, and absolutely, we can start from this point. So we are not therapists.
mhm.
I am not therapist. You, Andrew,
I am.
too. So
I've had OCD
yeah,
as long as I can
yeah,
remember, but personally,
yeah. We're suffering from OCD, and we're trying to spread awareness worldwide, not only in Germany or in Poland,
mhm.
but yeah, but we want to show people around the world that there is hope, and we are not alone. Definitely not alone.
Yeah. Yeah, and somebody had asked, and so I guess a little background for those that don't know me or don't know us, that so volunteer for International OCD Foundation. I'm a volunteer advocate. I also voluntarily run the International Networking and Advocacy group. Um, I, I've really enjoyed having you there. Um, and we talk in the group about advocacy best practices. But there was a new member a few weeks ago, and he did like an advocate 101 type thing, and I was like, oh, no, I don't think we have a like a beginner how to be an advocate type thing. So maybe we can talk a little bit today about how
Yeah.
people can do it.
Yeah, this advocacy group is something amazing, and I'm really glad I'm there. But we can start at the point, how can we start speaking out loud when we are, for example, after diagnosis, in my case, this is really interesting because after my diagnosis, I started educate myself. I started reading books, and I think if I know much more about OCD, about its mechanism, it's much easier to share our experience and share our stories to other people.
Yeah, I think that's the part of it. You know, I think you and I both, we want to help others. We want um, others to not suffer the way we did and to find treatment and all that. And part of that is being knowledgeable. You know, it would
Mm,
be less than helpful if we were sharing, you know, things that are harmful or, you know, if you and I are just trying to
yeah.
make fun of people who are unwell. And I think
Mm,
that's not that to at least have a basic understanding of what OCD is, you know, obsessive compulsive disorder, and understanding each part of that, the obsessive part, what's the compulsive part, and what makes it a disorder, and treatment. Um, and I know through many conversations that ERP does not work for everyone, but it is the first recommended line of treatment, exposure
yeah.
response therapy. Um, and I was trying to, and that, forgive me, Lucas, I bounce all over the place, but um, you know, I think some people that have been in the community for a while and have not found progress with ERP, some have said, like, why do we always talk about that one? Why can't we talk about other things? But if, you know, if you, I was trying to think of a metaphor, like if you break your arm, and for 80% of people, wearing a cast is going to help your arm. We should start with that, right? We should start with the treatment that works for the most people. And then after that, if that's not working for you, and also in this metaphor, make sure it's an actual cast and it's not just some string and someone called it a cast. You know? So I think part of it is making sure you're getting proper ERP and not just a therapist saying that's what it is. And then if you've really, you know, you have a good experience, you've tried a couple different therapists, and then it's still not working for you, you know, then we can look at some other avenues. But again, as advocates, we want to make sure we're recommending what has been evidence-based. Um,
Yeah.
so frontline
Yeah.
ERP, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because without knowledge, we can hurt somebody. When someone is sharing their stories on Instagram,
Mhm.
we don't know if this is really good for someone or not.
Yeah.
When I started my memes page, I started after reading so many books about OCD, and with understanding how OCD works, how affect us. I'm not 100% percent sure that I'm my memes are good for others, but I'm sure that they have some educational
Value.
basement or
Yeah.
something. Yeah,
Yes.
value. Yeah, exactly. And at the really first point when I started this intrusive OCD memes,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it was not my goal to spread
Mm-hmm.
awareness, not at all, because um, OCD started to affect my life, my family, and I decided to share what I feel on Instagram through memes. And really, after a few months, I saw that people really take something valuable for them,
Mm-hmm.
and I started using my page for spreading awareness. And
Yeah.
this is in my case, but I think
Yeah.
every single person who wants to share their stories or their point of view,
Mm-hmm.
they can really start without money, without any Facebook groups, or
Yeah.
without being an OCD advocate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and maybe to step back a sec, that, we've talked about it is good to be knowledgeable, especially if you're saying, hey, you should do this to get better. But I think where everyone can start is their own personal experience. So, even if you're not a therapist and even if you haven't read a journal articles about OCD, you can say like, hey, in my experience, this is how I've felt. This is how it's shown up in my life. This is how I have improved, or these are things I've tried that for me. Because I think all of us, we have that personal experience and we can learn as we go. Like, I think I'm still learning what's sort of because of depressive symptoms, what's sort of because of ADHD symptoms, and what's OCD. But
Mhm.
I've still been able to share my story. And I think I am very grateful opened up in my life. I've mentioned this some other places. There's this guy at the climbing gym, so bouldering, I guess, and we just got to talking week after week, and he started to open up to me, like, hey, how's it going? He's like, well, I've had a bit of a rough time lately, and we
Mhm.
talked more. He's like, yeah, I have this thing called OCD. I was like, oh, I've heard of OCD, but back then I really didn't know the disorder. But slowly, as he talked about it, there are some things I'm like, well, I don't have that, like checking the door, locking the door.
Mhm.
But the more I talked, the more I heard other things that he mentioned. I was like, well, that sounds a bit like what I'm going through. And so I think it's very important, um, for a lot of people. Thumbs up. I think it's very important for a lot of people to share their story, because maybe someone doesn't identify with my story or your story, but maybe someone watching this tells their story and they say, oh, yes, I am going to.
Yeah, and when I started after my diagnosis, my story to my friends, my colleagues from work, uh, they didn't know anything about OCD. They didn't know what OCD is, how much we suffer from this mental illness, and after few weeks, when I started sharing my stories through memes, my friend told me, Lucas, now it's clear for me what you're going through. Now I understand. It's
Right.
much easier to understand something when we show this in really easy way to other people
Using
than
humor
when we
or something like that. Yeah.
yeah. But first point is not to be scared to speak about it,
Yeah.
or to be or we can be scared.
Yeah.
But when we started speak and share our
Yeah.
stories, we have something like, oh, it's not so scary. told about this to my friends, to my wife, to my
Yeah,
family, and they maybe not understand, but
yeah,
they started looking more informations about
yeah,
it, and this
yeah.
is what we can do at the first point.
I think for some people it's a bit meta that sharing their story is a bit like doing an exposure because it brings
Yeah.
them discomfort, stress. But the more you do it, the more comfortable it becomes. And I think I'm lucky in a way that I was diagnosed with depression in 2009. But I mean, I've had OCD since quite young. I think around 8 or 9.
Mm.
Um, but the point being, I started to open up about my depression back then. And so by the time I got my OCD diagnosis in 2018, I had 9 years of practice being open about health and talking about my mental health. So then it was pretty easy to just, yeah, I have OCD. Yep, this is what it's like for me. And, I've been able to talk about it pretty immediately.
Yeah,
But
and
good.
it's so amazing when we started sharing our stories, and I shared my story also on my city Facebook group on in Poznań.
Uh-huh.
And so many people wrote me message, Lucas, I have the same. I'm
Mm,
struggling with OCD too, but I was ashamed to speak about it.
yeah.
And also my really close ones from my family
Mhm.
also also have problem with this. And this is amazing. When we started to speak out loud, the other people can feel less alone and can share their
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
And I think we make a lot of good for
Yeah.
others.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm very thankful for that uh, guy at the bouldering gym. I'm thankful when I
Yeah,
joined group therapy, um, I had a couple. I mean, everyone actually in therapy is great, and some of us were still in touch. Um, without revealing anybody, but there was someone that had gone to the same school I went to, and something about that made it more real. Like, oh, this is someone like in my community, and they were also struggling with this, and I didn't know it, and they didn't know I was struggling, but it's real, and we were able to talk about it more. And then, yeah, other people, someone was related to an athlete, and I knew that athlete, and I was like, oh, okay, like it really can affect anyone, and we can talk about it, and I think that made it more approachable. So yeah, so I could talk to you off topic for so long, but I think if you want to get some good ideas about being an advocate, that I think that is number one, being able to share your story and being open and being
yeah.
about
Yeah, and when we have knowledge, we can also tell people about misconceptions, about myths when we speak about OCD, because many many in my friends told me, Lucas, I have the same thing. I have to check the doors
yeah,
5 times. When I'm going to work, I have the thought uh, if my iron is still
still on, yeah,
uh,
yeah,
yeah. So this is also important to tell people what OCD is and what OCD is not.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think so that could be another one. So sharing your story, helping dispel myths and break stigma around it. 'Cause we see that right a lot in media or in like ad campaigns, TV shows, different things
Yeah,
where people speak about it incorrectly, and then also in day-to-day conversation. And and I would say this, I don't know, pillar of advocacy is not for everyone because in addition to just some anxiety on
yeah,
confronting, I think an everyday human without OCD also can struggle with confronting someone, and it can be done gently, like, "Oh, hey, by the way, did you know that actually OCD is a bit different? I also used to think such and such," but it can also slide into being confrontational, and personally I don't think that helps us reduce stigma. If it's like, you're wrong, shut up, you don't say that, you know, I think it's more of a, I think what they say, calling in rather than calling out. I think that can be more helpful.
Yeah, we have to be careful also because we are not therapists, and when we speak to the people,
Mm.
they can tell us, "What? You are not therapist. What are you
Yeah,
talking about?"
right.
And when I had this invitation for Polish television to speak
Mm-hmm.
about OCD,
Mm-hmm.
they want me to speak about this alone, and I told them. This is not good idea because
Yeah,
I need also a specialist,
yeah,
a therapist or psychiatrist, but
mm,
someone who is
yeah,
educated and know about OCD much more than
yeah.
I.
No, I think that's
So
good. Yeah, yeah. Um, oh gosh, I had one thought and I lost it. But the other one going into, um, or going back to humor, and that your intrusive OCD memes page, and there's another OCD meme page, right? I forget what
yeah,
they're called.
it's Zach's page,
Yeah,
obsessively compulsive meme.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Zach
And
is also amazing. I think he's with us or was a few minutes ago.
and then I know Kimberly Quinlan has started to do some of that on her page, some reels, and
John
John Hirsch.
Hershfield too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, OC Baltimore, great account. But I think, as you said before, like humor, one, it's for those of us that are suffering, it can be very like, oh yes, somebody gets it, somebody understands. Like, yes, that exactly.
Yeah.
But I think for those outside of it, it's really hard at times to put it into words. Like if I'm trying to describe to even my wife who's been with me, we've been together 11 years, sometimes it's still hard to put words to the sensation feeling or the
hmm
urge or the ick or the something. Even right now I'm having a hard time. But sometimes the humor or the metaphor or the meme can really make it more identifiable and be like, okay, I get it. Get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But I know I have to be careful too when when I'm making memes because uh, it's really good tool to share my feelings, to share what OCD is, but other people mm, can think that OCD is funny. We can make
Yeah,
jokes
yeah,
about this, and here's a really thin line.
yeah. Yeah, I think, and not to give you reassurance, because we don't give each other reassurance, right? But to maybe validate that I think you have a nice balance of humor and then also these chats, which really provide context and clarity, and you're very clear often that you're not a therapist and this is your personal experience. And people can be misled about OCD anytime, anywhere. And so I think as long as they start to engage and they start to see more, and
Mm.
maybe their feed starts to get more OCD content, maybe that's helpful as well. That can be a good way to go.
Yeah, educational content is really, really important, and we have Facebook, we have Instagram.
Mhm.
So many social media, and when my account started to grow so
Mhm.
fast, I don't know
Yeah.
how it happened. I had a thought it would be a sin when I wouldn't used to spread awareness, to speak about
Mhm.
this, and to help other people.
Yeah.
And this is why I started these live streams and share not just memes, but also more educational content.
Yeah, yeah. And I think maybe this is a good segue for you, for myself, and for the advocates that like yes, it is great that we're sharing awareness and everything, but also if it gets to the point where it feels like a burden, or if it's affecting your mental health, that like, oh, I have to post content, I have to go do this,
Mm,
then that's maybe not so. You can get burnt out, or maybe it can become a compulsion. I think I
yeah,
had that for a bit where I was compulsively trying to post like an educational like image with with the cute animals, and then a reel, and then an educational image, and then a reel, and I had to have a regular schedule, and thankfully I've gotten away from that. And I don't know if the world is clamoring for, oh no, send me more, Andrew. But I think it was good for my health to say, I'm just going to do it when it works for me, and that setting this
yeah,
rigid schedule can become compulsive, or it can just become like a burden, and where it doesn't feel fun anymore.
yeah. Or you can check your Instagram how many
And
likes is under your
yeah,
reel, or if something is wrong because people don't like it,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
or yeah, yeah. I know what you mean, and yeah, this is really dangerous because we have also make this compulsive, and we we can have feeling that we have to post something and more and more and more.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Which
yeah,
it may be, at the risk of making a joke about OCD, but all the OCD accounts I follow, sometimes you go and you look at their dashboards, and you can tell sometimes which people have like organizational OCD, because they're perfectly exact style, follow a shade, and they post regular scheduled. And then some people like stuff are a mess, and it's all over, and that's
yeah. Now I don't care how perfect my reels are, but
yeah.
few months late, few
Okay.
months earlier, I really care about that the black line left is the right,
Yeah.
right, and
Perfect
yeah,
metrical. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, it creeps up all the time. I have ones like when I'm making the little art posts I make. All of a sudden, I start to care about white space a lot. Too much white space on this side of it. It needs to balance the white space over here, and then I'm like,
yeah,
nope, that sounds like OCD. Okay, let's just
yeah.
post it.
Now,
Easy.
even if I make mistake in text, in subtitles or something like that, oh, fuck it.
Leave
And
it. Leave it.
yeah,
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because I think that can be a real barrier for people to get it just right, as my handle is just right.
hmm,
Um, and, not wanting to mess up and not say the wrong thing. And I think for anyone, whether it's doing reels, whether it's doing memes, whether it's doing educational posts like slides, as long as you're telling your own story and your own experience, and this is what it's like for me, and you're not saying take this exact drug at this dosage,
yeah,
then it's okay. But that's another. Uh, I've been inspired on the posts that I make, which are few and far between, but maybe you know what I'm talking about. Where it's got like colorful hexagons
yeah,
on the top and the bottom. My wife Lauren, she's an amazing artist, and I put like an animal or a plant on there. But I was inspired a bit by like OCD doodles, OCD excellence. Alexandra is obsessed.
hmm,
Um, for them, we'll do that, like on a white background, or
yeah,
light blue something, and then have a theme for each one. But some of them, I mean, all the time when one of them posts, I'm like, yes, yes, I agree. I understand. So trying to be inspired by that, and I think as long as I don't want to steal anyone's copyright or anything. I think as long as we're all working together, and we're, not verbatim copying someone's content, but the same style of, oh yeah, that really helped me to identify with that we can all post about our experience and about different things. At Hi,
yeah.
Kevin.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah.
my Tosha, my 12 years old Labrador is downstairs.
Yeah.
She
12-year-old, what type of pet?
Labrador lab.
Labrador. Yeah, okay. It
Yeah,
froze briefly as you said that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is also important because when I see something interesting on others people's account and I see a really great value
Mhm.
in this,
Mhm.
I this is this is just second to share this.
Mhm.
And also when we speak about a little bit greater campaign about OCD, for example, IOCDF actions, or now we start speaking about IOCDF conference.
Mhm.
This is also important to share this to show other people that something is happened in Chicago, something is happened
Mhm.
in Poland, in Germany, on
Yeah.
other and in
Yeah.
many places around the
Yeah. Yeah.
world.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I was a year or two into therapy before I had even heard of IOCDF. Like
Hmm.
someone in group therapy said like, "Hey, there's the online conference coming up this weekend. Anyone going to that?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Tell me more." And again, I'm so thankful to this person who mentioned that because now I'm, fully plugged in and going to conferences and presenting that. So I think that's good. And then um, last fall, my wife and I went to several different cities to do different OCD events, and over again, like in Salzburg and Linz and Dublin and Galway, people said, I didn't know other people in my town had this. I thought I was the only
Hmm.
one, and I didn't have any resources. I didn't know there's anything happening. And so I think the more we can share out about regional conferences, regional meetups, support groups, different things like that. I think the more we can help people get
Yeah,
to.
this is so many interesting ideas we can involve in, and we can spread awareness. And
Yeah,
this is not really hard. This is so simple, but uh, we the problem is that we are scared. We are scared to start speaking about this, and we can show people that this is not so scared as we think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's another thing I meant to mention before. And sorry, I don't know if my internet's bad. It pauses. But I happen to be wearing my OCD walk shirt. And when we were talking in the INAG group and with others about doing awareness walks around the world, I had many people say, well, maybe that works in the US, but I just
Hmm.
don't think it would work. Like, people are too embarrassed. There's way too much stigma. No one would come. Um, and so I had started to talk to IOCDF, like, well, the feedback I'm getting is that, maybe we need to try something else. And really what came out of it is two things. One, we should try other things, like a Stammtisch, if I'm saying it right. um, meeting up for a beer or coffee, or trying other things. But then the other thing that even after that initial resistance of no, this wouldn't work here, no, people don't want to be public, then a few weeks later, a couple months later, I heard back from each of those places, well, actually, maybe we would want it. And then they try it and they're
Yeah,
like, oh, it was small, but it was great. And it was so good to like be open about it. And then I've had other people reach out that say, I'm not ready this year, but I really want to make it a goal to make it next year. And so I think having these public facing events, and of course no one's required to go, it's all volunteer, but to be able to have an awareness walk or a meetup where you're advertising, hey, this is about
yeah,
OCD, and people can start to be more comfortable being in public and saying, yeah, I have OCD, and I'm here to support it and learn more.
yeah. This is a really great idea because I'm on Facebook group where we have 4,000 members, OCD sufferers and their families. And last time, one girl wrote an idea. Maybe we can make meeting together, maybe in Warsaw or something
Yeah.
like that. And this is also amazing.
Yeah.
But when we don't start, so we can't change this without any changes. Yeah?
Yeah.
So we have to start, or we are scared, we are stressed. But when I started making these
Mhm.
lives, I didn't think that I will speak in English with so many amazing people, with
Right.
so many therapists,
Yeah.
with Kim Quinlan,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
this is, for me, is I don't believe that that was happened.
Yeah.
This
Yeah. Yeah.
this all
Yeah.
interesting
It's
conversation.
yeah. It's so interesting. I think also this is something that my OCD had latched on to in the past was the idea of like fame and status. But I find it interesting from like a sociology perspective that within the OCD community, I would say there are celebrities, right? You know, Kim Quinlan, John Hirschfeld, you know, some names that we know. Um, but outside of the community, no one knows who they are,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's,
Yeah,
but
but the really first book about OCD after my diagnosis I read was John Hirschfield's book, and a few months later I made a live stream with John.
yeah,
So this is so amazing.
I sat next to or across from John on the bus at the last conference. All of the speakers, we got to go to a golf driving range, which was very nice. And I was like, "Oh, hi! I really like your books. Hey, how are you doing?" and, but I think the point being that I've said on the INAG groups before, it doesn't matter if you have thousands of followers or if you have published books or if you have an award-winning podcast. All that's great, really cool if you can. But as corny as it sounds, you know, even if you change one life, you've changed one life. You know, that guy at the climbing gym, you know, maybe I assume he's talked to others and has made a really big impact. But even if he's just helped me, I mean, I am so thankful. I am so grateful for that. So I think is that Maurice, is that follower count 173? We'll try to up that. Everyone go follow Obsessless. Um, but yes, so I think anyone can start advocacy at any level. And so, in a more formal sense, IOCDF has this grassroots advocate um, campaign, or I don't know, thing where you can sign up
Yeah,
to be a grassroots advocate, and you get a newsletter, you get access to some resources. Also, applications are currently open for to be an IOCDF advocate,
it's
which
not
is like
so
a
official like IOCDF advocate, but we don't need to be IOCDF advocates to be someone who
yeah,
spread awareness.
yeah,
It's important to have something inside to
yeah,
that push us to do something for others,
yeah,
and in this way for ourselves too.
yeah.
Because what I'm doing and what you're doing, it has great value for us.
Sorry, it froze again on my end, but I caught most of it. But yeah, I think I heard as you're saying, it doesn't matter, you know, whether you're a formal advocate or you have lots of followers, or even if you have 173 followers, yes, you can still make a difference to others. And but then also, again, going back to the but don't feel like you have to at every moment
Hmm.
of your life. Like, oh, I can make a difference. I have to save everyone. Like,
Yeah,
no, take care of yourself and rest and do some silly things, and you know, and that's okay too.
yeah.
Uh, Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, if you have any question for us, how can we start to spread awareness or something, other topics, just ask.
Hmm.
You can meet us, I think, in Berlin
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
on
So
OCD Game Changers.
yeah, so we've talked a little more abstract about ways to do advocacy, but thanks, Maurice. Um, but yeah, I specifically coming up, if people can make it to Chicago in the summer in July, gonna have the big IOCDF conference, and if people are regional around Germany, uh, yeah, Poland, Germany, Netherlands. So May 31st, right? OCD Game Changers having an event in Berlin, and we welcome to come in. And I think also there's this group of therapists from this organization. It's complicated, and I think they're having a conference there, and so maybe we can connect with them as well. But it would be really cool to get to have these regional meetups. Of course, people coming to Berlin is very easy for me since that's where I live, but I'm also happy to travel. We had a conference in London. I've been to two now. I went to the Orchard OCD conference in the fall, and then previously I'd been to OCD Actions conference. And I know in Western Australia, like Lee Shepherd is doing great work down there, putting some things together. And there's stuff happening in Central and South America. I mean, really all around the world, there's starting to be more and more meetups and conferences and all that.
Yeah,
So I think people can be on the lookout for that.
yeah. But small steps
Yeah,
is okay to make difference.
yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, you don't have
Israel,
a conference next year.
yeah,
You go to
yeah,
an in-person conference and then volunteer
yeah,
and
absolutely.
yeah, just like hierarchy, just work your way. Uh, yeah,
So I'm so happy we will see in Berlin on
yeah,
May.
yeah, yeah,
I'm so
yeah,
excited. I'm every single month I'm go to Hanover and I'm near Berlin,
yeah,
but
yeah,
we have to wait for May.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can wave as you pass by. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
So
would.
thank you, Andrew. Yeah,
Yeah, looking forward to having you in town, and yeah, hopefully more people can join us in Berlin. We can, reach out, message us directly. We can make it more
yeah,
than just a one-day event. We can, get lunch, give you a city tour, and
yeah,
make a weekend out
absolutely.
of it. Um,
Cool,
yeah,
cool. I'm so happy, so excited. And thank you, Andrew, for this conversation. I think we showed people how can we start making something important for others, for us, for all this OCD community.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's
We
it's
do it
just our time.
yeah, if we do it like school, we can have a recap here at the end of class. So we talked about, being able to share your personal story, being open about that. You can use humor, memes, metaphors to tell your story. It is,
Educational stuff.
yeah, educational. It's important to be informed, but you can always start sharing your story. You can do OCD walks, you can do meetups, Stammtisch, write blog articles, do Instagram lives, attend conferences. Yeah, all of those can be steps to being an advocate. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you, Andrew,
Thank,
and see you in
yeah.
Berlin.
Yeah.
Yay.
Looking forward to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.